The Shanghai skyline faded behind us as the luxury river cruiser, the Oriental Star, pulled away from the Bund at dusk. This floating palace of glass and chrome cut smoothly into the Huangpu River, turning upstream toward the mighty Yangtze. The air on board carried the faint scent of jasmine from the deck gardens, mixed with the sharp tang of champagne being poured in the grand lounge. I'm Lin Ruoxi, a criminal psychologist. I stood at the railing of the upper deck, my short dark hair catching the wind. I was here at the invitation of an old client, Mr. Su Weihao, the patriarch of the Su tech empire. He called it a family assessment, some psychological due diligence before the inheritance talks. But I suspected there was more to it. The Su family, I knew, had secrets the way most people have spare change. Below me, the main deck was buzzing with arrivals. Porters wheeled Louis Vuitton trunks while guests in designer clothes posed for selfies against the glittering city lights. At the center of it all stood Sue Manning, 25 years old, heiress, social media sensation, and granddaughter of my client. Her diamond wedding ring, the size of a small plum, flashed as she laughed into her phone camera. Honeymoon vibes on the Yangtze, darlings. Who's jealous? Beside her, with his arm wrapped protectively around her waist, was her new husband, Lu Chen, 28, handsome, a former struggling artist who now looked effortlessly comfortable with wealth. He smiled for the camera, but his eyes scanned the crowd, as if he were waiting for an interruption. And then, it happened. A woman in a simple black dress pushed through the boarding line. Ye Wei, 27. Once, she was Manning's university roommate. Now, she was a live stream seller, scraping by on late-night sales pitches. Her face was pale, her eyes fixed on the happy couple. She carried no luggage, just a small backpack and her phone, which was already recording. I watched from above. I'd seen the anonymous posts that had been circulating online for months, veiled accusations, screenshots of old chats, hints of a deep betrayal. Best friend turned homewrecker, Ye Wei had not been invited to this cruise, yet here she was. She had bought a ticket last minute, and somehow, she'd even secured a cabin on the same deck. Later, in the grand lounge, the welcome cocktail hour began. A string quartet played softly over the hum of conversations. Sue Manning was holding court near the piano, her laugh bright and practiced. "Everyone, meet my husband," she announced, pulling Lu Chen closer. "The man who finally tamed me." Lu Chen kissed her temple. "She tamed me actually," he replied, drawing a ripple of polite laughter. But on the edge of the circle stood Ye Wei, her glass untouched. When Manning's eyes finally met hers, the heiress's smile faltered for just a second. "Ye Wei," Manning said, her voice sweet enough to mask the sharp edge underneath. "You came. I didn't expect to see you." "I wouldn't miss it," Ye Wei replied. Her tone was calm, almost pleasant. "Congratulations again." That single word, congratulations, hung in the air between them like smoke. I was seated nearby, sipping a cup of tea, observing the entire exchange. I noted the way Lu Chen's hand tightened on Manning's waist. I saw the flicker in Ye Wei's eyes when she looked at him. It wasn't hatred, not exactly. It was something deeper, something hungrier. Just then, Mr. Su Weihao approached me, his cane tapping quietly on the polished floor. 82 years old, sharp-eyed, the man who had built a fortune from nothing. "Miss Lin," he said quietly, his voice low. "You see it too, I imagine." "See what, Mr. Su?" I asked. "The storm brewing," he said. "My granddaughter thinks love conquers all. I think love is just another transaction, another deal to be made." I took a slow sip of my tea. "And what is it you want from me?" "Watch," he instructed. "Listen, if something unfortunate happens, I need someone who understands the mind before the police arrive." I set my cup down on the saucer. "I'm not a fortune teller, Mr. Su." "No," he agreed, his eyes glinting. "But you are very good at seeing what people hide." Across the room, Ye Wei excused herself and stepped out onto the open deck. The wind whipped her hair as she lit a cigarette, inhaling deeply. Then, she began typing furiously on her phone. A moment later, a notification pinged on the devices of several guests around the lounge. It read, "You live. Special broadcast tonight. Truth coming soon." Inside, I saw Manning lean in and whisper to her husband, Lu Chen. "She's going to ruin everything." Lu Chen just smiled faintly, a cool, unreadable expression on his face. "Let her try," he said. The ship's horn sounded, a deep, resonant blast that echoed across the water as we entered the wider expanse of the Yangtze. Lights from distant shores blinked like faraway eyes, watching us. The first night had only just begun, and already, the passengers carried far more than luggage. They carried motives, they carried secrets, and they carried the faint, unmistakable scent of impending tragedy. The stage was set, the players were in place, and the question was no longer if something would happen, but when. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to see what happens in the next episode.